Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there, feeling fantastic, and making the most out of this beautiful Monday morning that we are blessed with out here. Got you a pretty big update this morning, pretty detailed, a lot to unpack on what's going to happen for today. There's a lot of areas to cover, a lot of areas we'll have the chance to see strong to severe storms today, and there's certainly a couple areas that are more highlighted, a higher threat of maybe significant severe weather today. I'm really talking about Texas, but just a reminder that the Storm Prediction Center outlooks can change. There's normally another update about an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours after I drop these videos. So some things can tweak. The areas that are highlighted for certain risk as far as a tornado threat, hail threat, wind threat could broaden, could shrink, could increase, could decrease. So we'll certainly just always want to throw that out there. I don't want you guys thinking I'm giving you guys any old information. It's just the information right now as I'm making this video. But there's a lot to discuss. So let's go on and start with this. But I want to say, if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. You guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. And I certainly appreciate a couple people who have joined my channel over the last couple weeks, and I'm almost at 30, which was definitely a big goal of mine, trying to get to 30. There was a goal to hit 40 by the end of summer, but if we don't hit that, that's all good. I really appreciate people just continuing to make this part of the routine. The family type atmosphere with this channel is, I think, unmatched, and I think it's beautiful and it's awesome. So I certainly appreciate everyone who makes this part of their morning or evening or both routine. Thank you all for taking time out your day to share with me. It means the world. Let's get rolling. Water vapor loop out there. So let's try to do this here. We got an upper level low up here, just in general in this region. We got troughing that's setting up in general kind of up in this region. Now, you got pieces of energy that kind of ride this trough. It's kind of like the road network for these pieces of energy, and they ride through, and as you have daytime, the atmosphere in the daytime, once you get into the afternoon, it begins to destabilize. Typically, you get the ingredients that build for severe weather, and these little weak low pressures, they call them shortwave troughs, moves through, and then they promote the ingredients for severe weather, and that'll be the case basically in this entire region today. It's everybody, okay? But I would say that it's more confined to this circle right here that I did. So basically this entire region right into here will have the threat for severe weather. So we will see what happens. There's a couple areas I want to watch. One being here in kind of east central Texas for explosive thunderstorms. I want to watch right into this region also. And then I want to watch into this region today. These are areas the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted. And these are all areas we really need to watch as the atmosphere will really become unstable and we will have explosive thunderstorms today. Very large hail. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center says a gigantic hail is possible. And this is really because you're going to have, well, you're already having the development of a very weak surface low right in here. That is an L if you're wondering. You guys know I'm terrible at drawing on here. The cursor does not make it easy for me. I tell you that I don't know. I can't draw on it. So I do my best. Hope you guys can definitely grasp what that is here. But there's going to be a little bit of a boundary somewhere in here. And the Storm Prediction Center mentions somewhere along maybe a warm frontal boundary. You got to watch out for maybe a tornado threat. And there is a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in any given location right now. If we look at what's going on at the surface, a lot of rain out there, a lot of storms. Some of these storms are severe warm in the panhandle of Texas, areas of Oklahoma. You got this low up here. We got beneficial rain falling in PA, areas of western New York State, West Virginia. We got some heavier rain about to wrap around this low pressure from the northeast to the southwest into the UP of Michigan. So it's about to be a rainy AM for you folks in the UP of Michigan. You even got a severe warm storm down here in South Georgia. You got rain moving through the Carolinas. So, I mean, you can already kind of see the setup today in general just by looking at what's falling this morning. But if you look at the Storm Prediction Center, multiple areas to watch. One is this area right here. This area produced some very photogenic supercells yesterday. It'll be another day like that today here in southern and southeast sections of Colorado. We'll have some, definitely some very beautiful structured thunderstorms in this region. But if you just happen to be impacted by one large hail, even a tornado threat, and damaging winds are possible. Very large hail is possible. Okay, then we watch this area, the slight risk right into here. All right, the areas of the Delmarva all the way up to southern New Jersey. I mean, you even got a marginal risk all the way up to Binghamton in New York State, but all of eastern North Carolina, eastern South Carolina has a marginal risk. And even in this marginal risk, the dark green, you could have severe storms. Enhanced risk right here in the middle of Texas. I think we're going to have some explosive thunderstorms in this region today. We really need to pay attention to this region today because we could have some just very discrete, semi-discrete supercells that can produce some damaging hail in this region. And then if anything latches onto a boundary down here, okay, then we're going to have a tornado risk. But there's a slight risk that extends all the way into southern sections of the Deep South, all the way to the Gulf Coast, down near Mobile, areas of the Panhandle of Florida. I could see this upgrading to an enhanced risk down here. We just got to see how these storms cluster up, and we'll talk about them here in a second. Tornado threat, you got that 2% risk here, even a 2% risk right here, okay, along the eastern shoreline. But a 5% risk right here. This does include Waco and everybody right here in Texas. I just remembered that I do not have my Google Maps pulled up, so won't be able to spit out a couple names, so we'll just talk about geographical regions in general. Not as prepared, a little bit more in a hurry this morning as I'm fighting time. But there is 3 areas we watch for wind, okay? There's a 15% risk of winds exceeding 50 knots or higher within 25 miles in any given location. All 3 of these areas in the yellow. Okay, so we need to pay attention to damaging winds, but the biggest threat today is hail. Okay, no hatch risk over here, but there is a 15% hatch risk in this yellow region, which means hatch means there's a 10% chance of significant weather. So you have the yellow right here. You have a 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter, but you also have a 10% risk of significant hail, which is 2 inch in diameter or larger. Same thing down here, but you have a 30% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger, with the 15% risk around it extending all the way into south central Mississippi. But you also have a large 10% risk of significant hail, which, remember, 2 inch in diameter or larger. That's what that means. 10% chance or higher. So this is serious today. Big time hail risk. It's a little unusual for June. Typically you see this a little bit further north up into the plains, but here we are. The risk for flooding. All right, you do have a little bit of a flash flooding risk here in eastern Colorado, areas of southeast Wyoming, western Kansas, small section of southwest Nebraska, and then this region right here along the Red River, extending into southwest Arkansas, portions of Oklahoma, and Texas. You have at least a 15% risk of flash flood guidance being met in this region. So let's take a broad look at the southeast first, and then we'll zone in a couple areas. We got lingering rain this morning. This will head on off. The atmosphere will quickly destabilize. I think we will have a lot of fuel to the atmosphere here in the deep south that will really get the atmosphere cranking for storm development. So as you get to about 1 to 2 p.m., if you're confused of what time frame we're at on this, it's right up here. 1 to 2 p.m., you could have some storms already firing up in the Piedmont, North Carolina, southeast Georgia, storms up here in the Delmarva region. We'll talk about that a little bit closer here in a second. And then we watch for this cluster of storms in Louisiana and kind of southern Mississippi. Northern Mississippi, I think you're good today. But this storm's from Louisiana, southern half of Mississippi, southern half of really far southern, I would say, Alabama, and the Panhandle of Florida. These are the cluster of storms you watch in the south today. But you see the storms developing in the eastern North Carolina region. So let's zone in to this region of the deep south. And here we go. We are getting into later today. If you're confused at what time frame we're at, remember, look right here. It's at 1 p.m. Back it up 1 hour. This is in Eastern time, so we're in Central time right here in this neck of the woods. So we keep going, and then the atmosphere is really becoming unstable down here. Cape values exceeding very high levels. Dews are well into the 60s and 70s, and you certainly have thermodynamic-wise, which is that surface moisture, higher temperatures, and your Cape values, lapse rates, things like that, are certainly supported from some pretty strong to severe storms in this region today. So here they go. They're cranking in Louisiana. They could be more widespread in northern Louisiana, but I'll watch out Jackson Point south for these storms. Maybe even all the way up the Meridian. I would say now most of these storms will stay south into this region. But if you're in this section right here in Mississippi, be aware of some significant weather today. Some large hail is possible with these storms, these little cluster of storms. And then they'll continue to move, make it all the way to Baton Rouge sometime this evening, make it all the way down to the Gulfport, Mobile regions, all the way into the panhandle of Florida as we get to right when the sun is beginning to set. So, you know, it won't last too long, but what I will say is, I mean, as these storms, if I switch it to the long range HRRR model, and let's go on and fast forward here and through time. Here, nope, that's not the right one. Here we go. And we get into the overnight hours right into here. You know, this is the wee hours of the morning. We could have another cluster of storms rocking its way through northern Mississippi, basically as this frontal boundary, it kind of bumps back north and you get a better moisture return up into Arkansas and northern Louisiana. You could have some showers and storms in the wee hours of the morning, kind of from 2 to 6, 7 a.m. in Arkansas, Mississippi. So you could be waking up tomorrow to a pretty intense cluster of storms here in areas of southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, Mississippi. We'll see how that happens. Another area to watch, eastern North Carolina. These storms will get going here, and then I think they'll cluster up. And I think from Raleigh points east, anybody in this entire region of eastern North Carolina, even into the PD of South Carolina, eastern South Carolina, you guys could get some intense storms today. A brief tornado threat, a little impulse of energy, short wave trough, piece of energy flies through, creates enough of a kinematic atmosphere for some of these storms to produce a quick spin up. So watch out in eastern North Carolina, all the way down to eastern South Carolina. Large hail, some gusty winds is the biggest threat, but a brief tornado cannot be ruled out with these storms. This is around, let's back it up, it's around 7, 8, 9, 10 p.m. These storms are heading and getting to the coast by about, I would say, the evening time period as you're kind of heading off to sleep. If you're along the coastal regions, you'll definitely have a rocky beginning night of sleep for sure. You look up and, well, I wanted to show this too. Let's go up to the mid-Atlantic. You guys are going to have some pretty strong storms too, and we'll probably need to bump it to the latest run. And I mean, so a little bit early on in the day, I would say, I mean, this is late morning, lunchtime, 1 p.m. You could get a very stormy early to mid-afternoon in the Delmarva region. Some storms begin to blast through the Washington, D.C. area, Delaware, the coastal regions of Maryland, and I mean, even areas of eastern Virginia. But, you know, these storms, it could be a very stormy afternoon, evening for southern New Jersey also. A line of storms could actually work their way through from the kind of the southwest, kind of a southwest to northeast directional flow here. And, I mean, if you love a good summer thunderstorm, you're going to get one probably in Delaware, southern New Jersey today. So be aware of this. The northeast today, the leftover from that low pressure that caused all that crazy weather in Tennessee yesterday. I mean, multiple reports of a tornado. It was definitely overachieved. And I mentioned yesterday morning's video, I thought they should have put a 5% risk up. You know, I'm not a rocket scientist or anything, but it looked like you had enough of a kinematic atmosphere to produce tornadoes. But I would have said put it in Kentucky, more so southern sections of the Ohio Valley. So I would have been off in the geographical location. But still, man, Tennessee definitely was rocking with a tornado threat. I hope you guys are all right out there. I'm sure they'll have multiple reports, confirmed tornadoes after the damage survey. But anyways, back to this. Low pressure rides to the northeast, and beneficial rain will continue to fall in PA. This will work its way. It could be a stormy afternoon, evening for eastern PA. There's a marginal risk in this region, so there is a chance for some hail, some gusty winds, and all of eastern PA today. The southern tier of New York State up to Binghamton, these storms can produce. This low pressure begins to ride this upper trough, so it begins to kind of make its way back north and then northwest, so you kind of lose the true ingredients for severe weather, lack of forcing, and this begins to dry up. But definitely a rainy, potentially stormy evening, maybe even for New York City, Long Island. You can sneak in a storm. My guy, Mr. Storm, lives here on Long Island. Appreciate you tuning in. There's a chance you can get a storm this evening. We'll see if it can happen, but I think they will lose their punch. But certainly, I know you're a big storm fan. Hopefully that you get yourself a little summer thunderstorm out in Long Island later this evening. But, you know, some of these could maintain as they get into southern New England. We'll see what happens. But this is getting into the middle of the night, and you're probably waking up tomorrow with some shower activity in New Hampshire, Vermont, and upper sections of New York State. Rainfall from all this today, I mean, certain areas in New York State, PA could get 1 to 2 inches of rain. Binghamton, you guys could get 1 to 2 inches of rain today. Scranton, 1 to 2 inches of rain. Definitely a lot of rain. The Finger Lakes region, same kind of deal. Definitely 1 to 2 inches of rain is possible. So there's certain areas in this region right here, especially in Pennsylvania, that need rain. You're certainly going to get it today. You're already getting it this morning, so enjoy it. The south central U.S. today, this will be an active period. You'll have a lot of moisture flying to the north, but this area right here really won't support severe weather. It's down here that we will have the severe weather. So I'll mention right off the dot, you're going to have some severe storms coming off the Front Range. These storms will be strong to severe up here, especially in southeast Colorado. Definitely watch out for some large hail with some of these storms right into here, even into western areas of Kansas. You certainly will see a chance. And I would say the storms might be a little bit more widespread into this region right into here. So be aware in southeast Colorado, western sections of Kansas, the panhandle of Oklahoma, and even areas of northeast and New Mexico for some big storms. It's these storms right here that look destructive. And they really get going, I would say, late afternoon. I mean, it's around 5 p.m. Central Time, and you're just now getting thunderstorm development in North Texas. 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. And I tell you what, if the later they get going, the worse it's going to be for a tornado threat. You're going to have a higher tornado threat because the low-level jet kind of gets ramped up a little bit later in the evening. So a little bit closer look at this. I mean, these explode virtually out of nowhere. Okay, along that dry line where the triple point is, basically where your best kinematics and your Cape values kind of overlap one another, where that surface low is. 4 p.m., 5 p.m., here's the storm. Pops up right here, kind of right outside the Abilene area. All right, and then it moves through. It gets very strong, matures, and then you can get a multi-cluster of kind of supercells that get going. The Dallas-Fort Worth region is right here. I hate that I don't have my phone, I don't have my Google Maps pulled up to kind of spurt out a couple town names, but what is it, Weatherford, all these areas need to watch out, maybe just south of you guys, but these storms will be intense. All right, at this point, I always reminded that Dallas is right in here because of this little baby county right here, that's just east of the Dallas-Fort Worth right here. I would say if you're, a couple hundred miles west of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, please watch out. Now, I can tell you that the Storm Prediction Center has the enhanced risk more so right here. So you're probably going to get thunderstorm development down here. All right, remember, we're not going to look at the HRRR model as some grand solution like this is exactly what's going to happen. Okay, that's not what this is meant for. But I can tell you that based off the HRRR model, this is where it likes the storms a day. And what worries me is it has them getting very close to the Dallas-Fort Worth region. But man, you got like 3, 4, at times 5 little mini supercells. And not really many. These are pretty large, producing very large to gigantic hail. Gigantic hail from the Storm Prediction Center is considered 3.5 inch in diameter or larger hail. That is massive hail that's going to cause damage to anything it hits. Okay, including a person. It's going to give you a pretty nice little headache if it hits you. So, please be aware of this in North Texas today, Central Texas. It's going to be hard to figure out exactly where these storms are, but it's not like the entire state of Texas is going to have widespread supercells. It's not normally how this works, but these storms right in here from about 4 or 5 p.m. all the way through, I would say about midnight, will be a significant threat. Okay, and then we can have a lot of storms ongoing up here in southern Oklahoma as basically the ingredients shift north. So, I mean, as we're getting into the wee hours of the morning, if you're in southern Oklahoma, northeast Texas, I know I got Mary, I know you're in northeast Texas, I would watch out around 4 to 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. These storms could pack a punch for you guys. It's getting into tomorrow morning, so hope that helps. Just, if you're just basically, and I'll just draw something on here really quick. If you're in this region right here, please just be aware today. Okay, you might not get a drop of rain, but this is a region you got to watch. Okay, this region really gets going later overnight tonight. Okay, so hope that helps. But if we talk about the ingredients here, guys, I'm gonna have to speed this video up. I'm gonna end up being late to work. But a lot of moisture builds into this region, the Texas. You got dew points into the 60s and 70s. So ton of moisture through the atmosphere. We know that. Same thing with the deep south. You can see where this low pressure is, right? It's right into here. Triple point being met. There's gonna be some kind of boundary right into here. You gotta watch out for a tornado threat. Very weak low pressure. It's not even going to eject. It's just gonna form and just kind of meander. But here it is. Tons of surface moisture to the atmosphere. Dew points in the 70. That is a form of a thermodynamic. And you can check that off the box for today. In the response to high levels of moisture at the surface, you got high moisture. All right, I'm going to have to baby this thing through. And you got CAPE values, mixed layer CAPE values. I mean, well over 3,000, 3,500 joules per kilogram. And you can see how it cuts off substantially, right? So this is kind of right around where the warm front is. Warm front is the separation between moist, unstable air, and north of it, or on the other side of it, is dry, more stable air. Okay, where thunderstorms likely are not going to develop. A lot of fuel, capped environment down here, but up here there's not a capped environment. There will be early on, but man, right in this region, right where you have the trailing cold front boundary and then the warm front, somewhere in here could have a chance to see a tornado. Okay, and you look at the kinematic environment, right? Winds aloft is what I'm saying. Winds above our heads. And not much. You can see how these wind barbs are going around this little region right in here. You see how they're kind of circling? That is our surface low. Okay, so it's kind of just meandering and it starts to ramp up a little bit of a low-level jet as we're getting later in the evening. But it's misplaced from the high levels of thermodynamics and basically your storm mode. So, which is good because that would limit a more substantial tornado threat. But as of now, you got to watch, see if this kinematic wind field, winds aloft, catches up with these thermodynamics and these storms. If they do, you got to watch for just a boundary right here. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does, but the boundary right here, there is a kind of a wind shift kind of right near the surface. And that's when you'll watch for a tornado threat. So please be aware of this today. North central U.S., not a whole lot to speak on. This upper low continues to spin, so cooler weather up here in response and just showery conditions for my folks up in the UP of Michigan, Wisconsin. Just be kind of a dreary Monday for you folks, and this will last all the way through the evening, or you'll just have a reinforcing shot. These little kind of surface lows continue to wrap around this upper low, and this will just continue to bring rounds of energy. And you can tell, I mean, it's coming in from this direction, and it's wrapping around all the way through this way, and it's just circling around this kind of upper level flow right here. So just showers in this region, right? Nothing really going on over here though. Wisconsin, UP and Michigan, shower activity. Showers make it all the way into Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio by the time we get into the wee hours of the morning into tomorrow morning. Rockies, you know, I give you guys your 30 seconds of fame, but it's the same kind of situation. I mean, it's actually cold enough for the higher elevations to see a little snow in the Rockies and the mountains of Wyoming. But, you know, you're getting into this afternoon, southwest Montana, pretty much everybody, maybe except northeast Wyoming, see some heavy rain, some storm activity. Salt Lake City down into Utah, you guys could see some storm activity, maybe even some showers as far south as southern areas of Nevada. You guys might can get into some shower activity. You certainly always could use the rain down there, but a more organized area rain in Idaho. Some of these could briefly reach severe limits. You can't, you know, totally rule that out. But, you know, certain areas will get heavy rain again today. These same regions that you've been seeing in over the last week. So you look at this, temperatures, doesn't take a rocket scientist to know where the boundary is. Cooler, dry air, and this entire region right here. Still nice, but I mean, it's mid-June, and you're only getting into highs in the 60s and 70s in the Ohio Valley, the Midwest. Much cooler in the UP of Michigan with this upper low spinning around, rain, cloud kind of cooled air, rain cooled air. Deep south, very warm, highs into the 90s. Very unstable atmosphere today. It'll get very warm very quickly, and then the storms will explode. Up in the northeast, beautiful day, highs in the 70s, even some low 80s. And same thing with the southeast, not too bad. The western U.S., above average temperatures continue for the northwest, below average temperatures for the southwest, and areas of kind of the high plains, below average temperatures. But above average temperatures up here. In fact, areas will hit the low 90s in some of these valleys of Washington State. Pretty warm up here for sure. We will have a video probably almost every evening this week, maybe give or take in a couple evenings, because we have an active setup. We have a large slight risk extending all the way from the south central U.S. to Georgia tomorrow. I think this has a chance to upgrade. We'll see what happens, but we'll discuss this in detail in tonight's video, and then we'll do it again for Wednesday, another slight risk. All right, and there is already a hatched risk at day 3 for almost the entire slight risk. So there's a lot to discuss going forward, and we will continue to do that. That's all I got. God bless all y'all. Have a great day, and I'll be with you guys this evening. Talk to you soon.